Hey there, I'm Pat. I'm from the product enablement team here at Workzilla. I'm just here with the head of product, Tom.
Hey everyone.
And today we're going to be covering how to read target charts in Workzilla. So we'll get started with, first of all, what is a target?
Okay, so a target is something that most law firms will be using already or will want to use. And a target can mean different things for different people. So for most individuals, a target will be literally how they're evaluated in their role. So it'll be a goal that they have to hit, could be 3 billable hours a day, for juniors, or it could be a collected target for senior partners and the like. And it's intended to be kind of this is your goal and your role. And if you consistently don't hit that, then then it's time to provide some coaching or some other way to enhance your experience at work. In other ways, it can also be set up to kind of provide talking points to company success. So an example of one of those would be, which we're going to show later, is a target that's just about logging time, and that might be set up for an organization that's looking to get more data out of their system for better analysis about efficiencies and where they can be better spending their time. For instance, if you're logging all your time and you get to have a look at, wow, it turns out that people are spending a lot of time in meetings, then maybe that you can actually look at limiting the amount of meetings and therefore raising your efficiency. So there's two different ways to set to kind of view targets. And primarily it'll probably be that KPI kind of target, but you can also use them in another way as well.
Awesome. So what are the main elements of a target?
So there's two parts to a target. There's the target itself, and then there's what we call the actuals. So the actuals are always plotted against the target, and they are the behavior that the individual expresses through the given target period, be it a monthly, be it quarterly or yearly, which is how we can set it up in Workzilla. And it's kind of what their behavior is on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis toward their target. So if you're tracking billable hours, how many billable hours did they log in every day? Let's see that either by on the day, how many hours per day, or cumulative over the month toward hitting their target. So there's always those two elements to reading a target chart.
Now, moving over into the system, how easy is it to create a target in Workzilla?
We've made it really easy to create a target in Workzilla. Let's show you guys now. So let me just go onto the target page. So these are three targets that we've already got set up. So let's create a scenario where we want to create targets for all of our juniors. So the target for all of our juniors will be the same. Typically, it's something to do with billable hours. So let's do these for people. So in Workzilla, you can either set it on personal performance, either based on their timesheets or based on whether or not they're responsible for the matter, so matter performance. For individuals like juniors, you're probably going to base it on their own timesheets. Let's say it's based on billable fees, and a really usual one is a billable fee structure based on their own salary. So again, a typical one would be, we want you to bill 3 times your salary per year. We can see that because this is demo data, Dominic has an abnormally high salary. So we might actually remove him from the demonstration. But 3 times the annual salary per year. And what we're going to do is we're going to calculate that monthly. So we're going to break it down monthly so that we provide more touch points for the manager to have a chat with the individual and make sure that they're progressing in their role. We can then set the start date, and that's all set up. So in Workzilla, we have the ability for you to set the salaries for your individuals. We have the ability for you to set the charge out rates for the individuals, so that you can set up the annual salary based target. And then every year, when they get that CPI increase or when they get another salary bump, you can go in and all you have to do is update the salary. We keep the old salary in place so you can have a look at all of those old budgets, but the new salary will start from when the new salary starts, and that's all you have to do. So you never have to touch this target ever again.
Now that you've set up the target, how do I view the target?
All right, let's say that you're a manager. So you have manager access. I can go to this page here and I can view anyone in my team. So Lola is the business owner, so you can see everyone. But if you're a team leader, you'll only be able to see your own team in here. And I can view anyone in the team's targets. Let's go to someone whom we just set up, and you can see here the target that's been what we just set up for Ashlyn. But let's have a look at someone who actually has data in the demo data that we've got set up here. So this is Lola, who's the firm owner, and we're looking at all the targets that are set up for Lola. So as you can see, you can actually have multiple targets set up for an individual, tracking different data points. So if everyone in the organization, and this is a relatively standard kind of metric, has a we need you to bill out 3 times your annual salary, regardless of who you are, or it could be a 3 hour billable hours a day kind of target, you can set that up. And then with regard to their incentivized target, you can have that at the top, and that can be for Lola, she's got 2.5 times her annual salary in monthly fees invoiced. So we've set this up based on, I'm not going to tell you the client, but there is a client who has a similar setup. So that's the reason why I know this is a really good demo kind of data setup that we can do. And this is, they base their targets on personal performance. So that's what we're basing on here. So 2.5 times the annual salary in monthly fees invoiced. So when we're looking at this target, we can see we've selected October, which is the current month, and we can see her progress towards a target over the current month. We can also go back to September, and we can see her target here over the month of September. We can have a look at the actuals per day. So this is the behavior that she presented in each of these given days, and we can see that actually there's a lot of downtime between invoicing. So that is a behavior that we might want to check with Lola to see whether or not she's actually invoicing on time for her billables. Especially when there's a spike like this, it could just be that there was one hefty invoice, or it could be that she banked up her billables to do all the invoicing on one day. And here we can see how she's accumulating that work over time. And we can see that in this one, there's not a daily rate. There is actually a rate that increases over the month. And this is the expectation of where she should be in that month in order to hit her target. We can see she actually killed this month. She got 151% of her target, which is fantastic. So, we can give Lola a pat on the back for that kind of activity. Down here, we can see her actuals and her behavior over time. So in another set of data that we have, we can see that the firm owner actually does all of her billables, all of her invoicing, sorry, on the last day of the month, every single month. So it'll be completely flat, and then it'll go up here. Now that might be fantastic. She is hitting her bill. She is hitting her target. So there's no conversation to be had there. But she might be stressed by the end of the month, every single month, or it's certainly not as good for cash flow as would be spreading out that invoice over time, because you do have payment terms. The payment terms are 7, 14, 30 days. Then, every single time, every single 7 days, you're going to have this massive spike in the beginning of the month, as opposed to dribbling that cash flow in. So by presenting it in this kind of cumulative format every month, as opposed to just a bar chart, we allow you to see the behavior of the person over time. Down here, we have one of those examples of just a company goal being expressed. So everyone in the company, you could just select everyone in that list and say, we expect six daily hours to be logged. We don't care if it's billable. It just has to be logged time, so that we can see what you're all working on, so that we can have those discussions about, are there too many meetings? Are people being expected to do too much admin? Are people spending time doing the precedents that we need them to do, or are they overspending time on precedents? If your setup is set up, if your PMS, sorry, is set up so that you can track those kinds of activities, then we can report on it in this system as well.
So I see this from a management view. How would I view my target as an individual?
That's a great question. So obviously, we want the managers to have the access to the team's targets, but we also need the individual to have access to their own target, because what's the point of having a target if you don't know whether you're about to hit it? So in this screen and the performance screen, the individual will have access to this part of the menu. And this screen only shows the data that comes from their own timesheets. And as a result, they can go in here, they can see the targets, and this is only their targets. So we are logged in as Lola, so Lola can see her own targets. But you can see here, she's missing the drop down to see it through everyone else's eyes. So that's the way the individuals can get access to their own target. They can switch by month. They can have a look at how they're tracked over past months, and they can easily see how they're tracking towards this month.
How can I get a more enriched view of the data?
Okay, so let's go back to the management targets just to set the scene. So here we're in the management targets, and we've seen Lola's kind of performance over these 3 metrics. We're having a look at billables, and let's just say that her billables are not really up to scratch. Or we actually are looking at billables saying, that's fantastic, but let's see how you're doing it, okay? So what we want to do is we want to come up to the performance screen. We want to select Lola. So we're going to deselect everyone, and we're going to select Lola. and we're going to have a look at her billables tab. And here we can actually see here's the billables she's done this month. We can see that she's worked on 31 matters this month. She logged a total of 121 hours and she's done $58,000 in timesheet fees. Down here, we can see what she's doing in any given week. So we can see the billable hours for this week were 21 hours, 10, 18, etc. This is for June. We can also have a look at this month and we can have a look at any past month. This shows the split between billable hours and all other hours logged. And here we have other tickets that will allow us to drill into to see a bit more data. So we want to have a look at here's all the timesheets he's done. What files is she actually working on? So this is the timesheet view. These are the matters here. We can actually arrange that by matter. And we can also export this list if we want to. We can change the actual dates here, and we can actually search for a matter as well. We can also view it by matter to see what matter she's been working on and how much she's posted per matter. We can view it by her relationship to the matter, and we can also have a look at which clients she's actually assisting and what clients she's working on. This is really rich data to be able to have more and better conversations between team leader and personnel. Because if the person is working on the wrong files or they're not posting the kind of numbers you want to be able to have a really good, enriched conversation with them. And you can only do that when you know what they've been doing. If you don't know what they've been doing, you're kind of flying blind. And with the views that we provide, both the team leader and the individual have access to identical data. And this is how you can marry conversations through the lens of targets with conversations through the lens of actual performance. On these screens, you can look at billables, invoiced, and collected. So no matter what the person is KPI'd on, we have you covered in these screens.
Thanks, Tom, for covering how to read the target charts in Workzilla. If you want to view how to do this yourself or any other resources on how to build a target, we have some videos on our YouTube channel. They'll just be linked in the description below. And thanks for watching. Keep an eye on the YouTube channel for any more videos.
Thanks, guys.